is a good time, I imagine, to bring in one of the representatives of the wokery regime in stoic resistance against it has to be said, Wellington City Councillor Tony Randle, leader from Wellington time. Tony, welcome to the show. Love to have you on.
Look, it's great to be here.
Listen, mate, there was something that you contacted me about and I went, you are joking, and you will remind me. No, wait on, I've got it here. You sent me an email to do with the topics. I did read them and I've forgotten them. Remind me.
So I mean, I think the crazy thing that's happening is this thing around Thornton Quay and putting raised crossings, speed bumps onto signalised pedestrian crossings, and costing lots and lots of money to do so. The count there's a big fight at the moment now because the new part about all this is NZTA have withdrawn their funding, so it's now it's going to cost us another $300,000 to go and put in these extra safety things. It's a bit like not having one fence at the top of the cliff, but two or three.
Speed humps are a tragedy waiting to happen, says FENS, Fire and Emergency New Zealand. Is that what's the problem there? They're worried that it's going to slow them down when they're trying to get to something.
That's right, and Thornton Quay has the main fire station for the north of Wellington, and also has the big extended ladder truck that Wellington, being a high-rise city, we've got to get, we need those vehicles to get to wherever they need to go really, really quickly. It was actually the Thornton Fire Station that was the first fire engine to the Loafers Lodge fire. I mean, they're the guys who rescued people off the roof and everything. They're real heroes. But they've got to get there to be effective, and putting speed bumps in the road just seems, outside their fire station, just seems crazy.
Now, the really interesting thing is that the people who would know this sort of thing, which is your bus operators, because of course you've got buses running all through that area as well, AA New Zealand, Transport New Zealand, who are in charge of trucking, FENS, the fire and emergency people, they've all requested that the bumps be removed or not put up. And the Wellington City Council, a whole series of Wellington City Council bureaucrats have decided, no, stuff you. You don't know anything about transport, we do. We're going to carry on with it. I'm interested in the logic and the thinking, though. How does it get that bad, Tony?
Well, it's about safety first, pedestrian safety first. And, this council they've got a thing called the transport hierarchy. I mean, there's a whole lot of hierarchies that occur, hierarchical thinking, and pedestrians at the top of it. And we see that all over the city. As soon as there's a pedestrian, all of a sudden you have to have a raised zebra crossing or whatever, when in fact, and they're going in all over the city. But having 6 pedestrian crossings in 2 kilometres along, and it's not like it's a mall. This is not the Golden Mile or anything. This is really a semi-retail access way sort of place with garages and petrol stations and that sort of thing on it. But it's a high traffic area, but not a high pedestrian area. And yet pedestrians are dominating and cycleways, of course, they're dominating the whole design.
Oh well, so more madness. Listen, I had the new Plymouth Mayor on, Neil Holdham. They're reducing their staff, have reduced in actual fact, and are reducing their staff numbers by 10%. They think they'll save millions of $100 million, $10 million a year over the next 10 years. They've looked at what they're doing and whether they can more effectively do it another way. They've come to the conclusion that they're overstaffed, that there's padding in. And I have to say, they're not exactly a conservative council. Neil Holdham's quite a liberal individual. Are they the way for everybody else? Is there any incentive for Wellington to do the same?
Well, no. This Wellington City Council, the senior management have said quite proudly, in fact, that there's to be no restructuring. There's to be no one's to be made redundant. Is almost a promise, and because our budget's going up by 18%, that's actually to fund more work and probably more staff. So, if anything, the City Council has probably planned to grow at a time when every other business is sort of scrimping and saving to try and pay the bills.
Listen, the other thing, just quickly about Wellington, I'm interested in the Reading Centre. For a number of us who used to go to Wellington, we used to go to your wonderful Reading cinemas. We all know the saga and the ongoing saga of it's going to be bailed out or is it not. Now, Reading have put it up. Is there any prospect that you could buy it as a council, or is it just too expensive?
It's not just that it's too expensive, but it would be very expensive. The land alone was, worth $32 million. I think the main site is worth something like $70 million, but there are two other sites right next door that's part of the whole deal. So you're talking well over $100 million, if not $150 million. The question is, our city has actually got some more important things to spend that money on. And even if we got it, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to tear the buildings down and build a casino? Not that would be a terrible idea, but the city council has not necessarily got a great track record of building things to budget. I mean, just look at the town hall. This is a project that started off at $80 million and now we're at, $500 million.
Yes, you need to do something down there. I'm just reading now, the group of business owners on your Courtney Place are proposing a New Year's festival, and they're seeking council approval to close the streets to vehicles and recreate a party environment reminiscent of the Rugby World Cup and film premieres, filling the streets with circus acts, food vendors, bagpipers, blah, 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 to revitalise an area that's lost its mojo, particularly over the New Year period. Would there be any opposition to that, or because they now need to go and get a resource consent to do all that down in that particular area?
I don't think so. I think we'd support it. Those sort of initiatives are great, and there are some really fantastic festivals in Wellington at different times. Up in the north, I'm involved with Spring into Tawa in October, sort of a springtime celebration where they close the main street down. Of course, we have got this thing called traffic control. So, they are probably going to have to fork over, the thick end of $30,000 or $40,000 to make sure that there are road cones, that traffic is guided through the area and that sort of stuff. I mean, doing these things in a big city is not cheap. So, more power to them. They're doing the right thing. And I just hope the city can help make that happen.
Yeah, because Wellington tends to get quite deserted over the New Year period. I mean, people leave in droves, I have to say. They either go home, but like you, Tony, to Central Otago or the Hawke's Bay or somewhere like that where you came from originally, or alternatively they head off to their holidays somewhere else. Nobody seems to have a holiday in Wellington over that period, do they?
Wellington's a great city to work in, but it's not known for its extensive beaches, for its idyllic lakes or anything like that. So yes, a lot of people, having worked in Wellington, do tend to, up sticks and disappear for that month. And the city, mostly closes down after Christmas.
Yeah, it does.